My name is Ryan Hebert. I'm the organist and choir master here at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. And I'll be playing two organ pieces for you today by German Romantic composer Josef Rheinberger, who lived in the 19th century. I'll be playing a movement from his third sonata called Intermezzo, and then a rather obscure piece, an incidental piece called Preludio in C minor. One of the interesting facets about being a performer, and I often ask this to my students, is why would you want to spend the time learning a piece like this and sharing it with an audience? It's a question that I think we should all ask ourselves as performing artists. All creative people should say, why would you want to take the time to learn about this particular composer and perform this work? I think in the case of Rheinberger, one of the things that I like about him is that he's an honest composer. When I say that he's an honest composer, you can hear in his music a musical thumbprint that is unlike any other composer. It's unique. And he understood the organ more so than many composers of the 19th century who were simply abandoning the organ. And he's not copying anybody. It seems as though the music was composed from a place of pure spirituality, as if the music was just sort of emerging and oozing out of him. And when you listen to it, you can't predict where the melody is going to go. And that's what I like about it, is that it has surprises around every single turn. Secondly, he understood the organ and the limitations of the instrument. Pianists, for example, have the ability to play every single note at a different dynamic by hitting the key harder or softer. So they have that dynamic nuance. Organists can't control the sound of the organ. The only way I control the sound of the organ is actually by pulling a stop. I have to manipulate the instrument in so many ways to make it sound like a musical instrument. The organ is among a handful of instruments that inherently is not very musical. And so I like that about the organ, having those kinds of limitations, because it requires a very important component. It requires your imagination. And so it's very, very challenging to make the organ sound musical because you have to use your imagination. Now imagine, using your imagination, what it takes to do that. You have to play the organ with 14 different appendages. You have 5 fingers on the right hand, 5 fingers on the left hand, right toe, right heel, left toe, left heel. And so no other instrument has to make contact with the body in so many places. So the creative brain has very little room to work because your consciousness is filled with having to play the organ. I mean, it's just like, is there any room for the imagination when you're playing a highly complex instrument, reading 3 lines of music? So when you hear someone play the organ and you're deeply moved by the expressiveness of it, you're really witnessing a miracle, because it's almost as if you have to trust the subconscious mind to put the fingers and the toes in the right place so that you have a modicum of space in the imagination to make the organ sound like it's being very expressive. And long story short, this is what I think Rheinberger brings to the music through composition. He makes this easy for us. Even in complex music, he makes it easy for you to express yourself because of the beautiful interweavings of the melodies. You can't help but play his music imaginatively, because I think it came from that same place. The second piece is angry sounding, it's menacing, it's dark, it's confusing, it's in some ways violent, but these are things that we all express, and I think that's what it is. For me, Rheinberger understands how to take a limited instrument and express the full gamut of human emotion. And it is our job as performers to unpack this in the music and create a meaningful experience, not only for me as a performer, but you as the audience. And I think that these pieces show Rheinberger's amazing ability to capture the entire tonal palette of the organ and the entire emotional gamut of being a human being. And I think that's the real appeal of this kind of music. And I hope that it's enjoyable and meaningful for people who are listening to it.